Grief is a place none of us truly understand until we find ourselves there. We think we know what loss is, that we can prepare for it, that we understand what it means to say goodbye. But when it arrives, when it crashes into our lives without warning, we realize that grief is not something we could have ever fully anticipated. You can try to make sense of it. You can try to rationalize it, but grief doesn't obey logic. It doesn't fit neatly into explanations or timelines. It arrives like a storm, unpredictable and overwhelming, shifting the very ground beneath your feet. You may think you've grasped its weight, only to wake up the next day and realize it runs deeper than you imagined. We often picture grief as a single moment, but grief is not just a moment. It is a journey, a landscape we've never traversed before. There's no roadmap, no step-by-step guide on how to move forward. It is something you feel your way through, stumbling, searching, trying to make sense of a world that suddenly feels unfamiliar. One day, the grief is quiet, sitting in the background like a shadow. The next, it's all consuming, crashing over you in waves you didn't see coming. Some days you might feel normal again, as if you've moved forward. Then, out of nowhere, a song, a scent, a memory pulls you right back, reminding you that grief isn't something you leave behind. It's something that becomes a part of you. No one walks away from grief unchanged. It carves into you, reshaping your heart in ways you never expected. But grief does more than change you. It teaches you. It forces you to confront emotions you didn't expect, depths of sorrow you couldn't have predicted. It reminds you that love and loss are intertwined, that to grieve is to have loved deeply, to have given a part of yourself to someone or something that meant the world to you. How do we move through grief? There's no simple answer. There's no finish line where grief disappears and everything feels the same again. Instead, we learn to carry it differently. We move through grief by allowing ourselves to feel, by not rushing the process, by understanding that healing isn't about forgetting, but about learning how to live again without what we've lost. We move through grief by finding meaning in the moments we shared, by honoring the love that still exists even in absence, by realizing that though someone may be gone, their impact, their memory, their presence in our hearts is something that never truly fades. We move through grief by taking one step at a time, by giving ourselves grace on the days when the weight feels unbearable, and by holding on to the truth that even in the midst of loss, life still calls us forward. If grief is the price of love, then it is a price worth paying. Because what is the alternative to have never loved at all, to have never known the depth of connection, the beauty of shared moments, the irreplaceable presence of someone who changed us? Grief is not just about loss. It is a reflection of love. The deeper the love, the deeper the sorrow. But also, the deeper the love, the greater the imprint left behind. So, if you are grieving, know this: you are not alone. Your grief is not something you have to rush through, nor is it something you need to apologize for. It is simply the shape of love after loss.